a student from the University of Chicago reached out to me, and he told me that the prestigious university is actually going to be starting a booster mandate. This is one of the first of its kind, to where you have to get boosted to be a part of the school. That's a new word we're using, getting boosted. It's like getting pegged, but by the government. It's like some people like it, but not everyone's down for it. And of course, not only being unconstitutional, this student has decided to write a strong and a worded letter to the school and is challenging them in many ways, and is starting a petition as well. If you go to my screen, this is even with the website, the chicagothinker.com. They come together to outthink the mob and to begin fighting back in the colleges against these illegal mandates. And so I went ahead and invited the student to come onto the show and to talk to us a little bit about how they're fighting back on their university and using the power and the leverage of the media in order to gain momentum and to put pressure on the school. And to introduce the student behind the letter to the University of Chicago, Daniel Schmidt, welcome to Slightly Offensive for the first time.
Thank you for having me, Elijah. Happy to be here.
So obviously you said that the University of Chicago is a world-renowned school. It's one of the top schools. And you've brought up the intellectual stupidity of what they're doing there on the university. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're feeling, what you're going through, actually seeing them oppress the students and put out this sort of medical abuse despite being one of the most renowned and respected universities in the country?
Right. Well, as you said, it's incredibly disappointing. In addition to it just being a top school, it has been known throughout history to be the school that goes against trends and actually sets its own trends. Notably, in the 80s and 70s and 60s, the Chicago School of Economics was established at UChicago as this sort of pro-capitalist, pro-free trade school of thought. So UChicago has always sort of gone against the grail, whereas schools like Harvard, Yale, Princeton were always sort of the establishment schools. UChicago has always been the school for unorthodox and different thought. And to see UChicago now totally just submit to this idiotic and anti-science thought is incredibly disappointing. I know many of us who write for the Chicago Thinker, which is the publication that published this letter, we came to the school because it is different, because it stands against bullying, it stands against oppression, and now we're just left to basically go with what every other school in the country is going with. It's incredibly disappointing, and we think the brand of UChicago itself is harmed because of this booster mandate.
Yeah, so this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, before this interview, obviously, we read a bit through the letter. We discussed it and talked about it. I know it was endorsed by Senator Rand Paul, by Stanford and Johns Hopkins doctors. And I don't know if you're familiar recently with Twitter making this big deal about 270 doctors, which turned out not to actually be really 270 doctors. It was like bureaucrats and consultants and teachers and whatnot, condemning Joe Rogan for spreading medical misinformation, requiring him to be censored. And so there's a lot of talk about, the importance of endorsements in these things. I mean, when you wrote this letter, do you really have hope with this backing that you can actually accomplish what you're seeking to do? Or is this just sort of publicity or fanfare?
Yeah, well, we're hoping for the best. We actually just started a petition on the chicagothinker.com to sign a letter expressing our disappointment at this booster mandate. And so we urge any listeners right now who are enraged at the fact that students who are not at a serious risk of hospitalization or dying of COVID, to sign this letter. But on your point of the fact that that doctors and scientists are supporting our letter and expressing, deep criticism of the vaccine mandate, I like to draw you to the fact that at the University of Chicago, these students have to get the booster, but doctors and scientists do not. What does that tell you? It tells you, number one, that there are medical school educated people at the hospital who are opposed to the mandate. These aren't just conspiracy theories. These aren't just people living in their mother's basements. These are people who are legitimately opposed to it, who have knowledge. When I asked the University of Chicago themselves why this exemption is in place, they told me straight up it is because they fear staffing shortages in response to the booster mandate. So my point is that these doctors and scientists publicly, they have no gain in supporting us. In fact, they are harming their careers, whereas all the doctors and scientists, as you mentioned, who are criticizing Joe Rogan, they're just doing what they're told, and they have no harm to their career whatsoever. And so I would say the scientists and doctors who are supporting us have a lot more validity to their claims than the scientists and doctors who are just saying exactly what they have to say to keep their face afloat.
Well, what are they telling you? I mean, a booster mandate? I don't think people even know that's a real thing. It kind of sounds like something out of dystopian novel. I mean, do they give you reasoning of where they came up with this, which studies they used, what foundational research or cutting edge science that they're referencing, or is this just something from the top down bureaucracy?
Well, that's the point. It's that they have not named any of the experts that tell us what to do. We have asked them, who are these experts? They always cite these anonymous, shadowy figures. We don't know any of them. We don't know who they are. We don't know if they're just getting this thought from the CDC. And in fact, as you see right now, we know one of them is Dr. Emily Landon. She's the face of this whole thing. She's one of the few who has come out publicly. And as I wrote in that article, she has advocated for numerous unethical and, quite frankly, anti-science measures. For example, she has said that young children should be vaccinated. She, in fact, called that great. When Pfizer itself has admitted that we don't even know the risks of vaccinating young children because there weren't enough of them in the study. So we have these doctors and scientists who are, using the false guise of science to force us to do stuff that we don't even know what the effects are. And of course, we saw yesterday in Israel, they tested the 4th booster shot and they said that is not good enough. This is never going to end. And unless we put a stop to this now, we're going to be subjected to this for in perpetuity.
So my question to you, though, if you don't get the booster, what happens to you?
Yeah, so we actually just published a great article today by a student, a very brave student, who wrote about his experience of not being vaccinated. He was spied on by the university. He requested a medical exemption initially, and that was later revoked. And when he asked the university, what can I do about it? They basically said, you're screwed and there's nothing you can do about it. You can request a religious and medical exemption, but of course, those are all subject to the purview of the university. So unless you're lucky to have an exemption approved, you're forced to get it against your will.
So best case scenario, writing this letter, I mean, I'm shocked to find there's still students out there that hold to any sort of logic or reason. I mean, universities for the most part have become such bastions of idiocracy and foolishness on every front. I mean, it has infiltrated every single institution in this country. Even the Christian and private schools have gotten pretty insane. But students like yourself, for people that don't have any hope in colleges, they don't have any hope in our education system. Do you feel like your opinion against the booster and your desire to fight against this like pseudo intellectualism, is this common at the university, or are you in the minority?
We are certainly at the minority, but we think that there is a changing tide. As we see more and more, we saw Fauci is now distinguishing the hospitalizations due to COVID and with COVID. We really feel like because of how far the establishment, how far the elites have gone, students are going to wake up. That is our hope, at least. And, even on posting on Instagram, I'm not followed by many conservatives. I go to a very liberal school. I've had more and more students reply to me saying they agree with me, but they're too afraid to speak up. So I am urging any college students listening right now, you need to speak up. I guarantee there are more students who agree with you than you think, and you cannot be bullied, and fear cannot be used to talk you out of this. This is a very serious thing. Booster mandates are basically evil. We have to acknowledge that. And if we just, stand aside and do nothing about it, as I said, this will go on forever because they keep admitting booster shots are ineffective. Why wouldn't they stop doing it? They get a lot of money out of it. They can virtue signal. Why wouldn't they stop doing it?
No, and we do wish you the best. And obviously, I know that if people want to support you, if people want to back this up, I know this is where the fights are in the colleges. What are the best places that people can find you, can support the movement, can support the publication, and join in the fight, because they feel helpless and they want to know what they can do. People are getting fired. People are, losing everything in this fight against these unconstitutional, I say inhumane mandates that have swept the country. So where is it that people can show you their support or can help in the fight?
Right. So as I said, my publication is thechicagothinker.com. We are going crazy. We're going to be on Tucker Carlson tonight. And so really, I would just ask all of your listeners to come and support us. We're really, I think, leading a sort of watershed moment. We received immense praise for our booster letter. We're at nearly 90,000 views. As you said, we've been endorsed by Rand Paul, by leading doctors and scientists. And so we would really ask you to show support at thechicagothinker.com. Additionally, if you would like to just follow me, I'm on Twitter at Daniel W. Schmidt _. You can find me there too. But please go to thechicagothinker.com. We have a petition up. It's just been up for a few hours and we've already received nearly 100 signatures. Please show your support. This is an important moment, and we hope that our example can spread to other top tier institutions in this country.
Awesome. I really, really appreciate you coming on so much. Daniel Schmidt from the University of Chicago. We do wish you the best. We'd love to continue to hear updates here as well in this fight. And as you guys fight against some of the most, I guess, initial steps in this fast-tracked movement towards fascism, medical fascism, that is. I know that the fight can be bitter, that the people in power can be very evil, and we all salute you and appreciate the hard work that you're doing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Elijah.
A great philosopher once said that you can be 2 out of 3 things: liberal, smart, or honest, but you can't be all 3. At Slightly Offensive, we're smart and honest. And if you like this clip, head over to Slightly Offensive YouTube channel by clicking right here, where you can find new episodes of our show weekly. We're bringing you the topics, news stories, and angles that will have you saying, why the hell wasn't I subscribed sooner? Also, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel too.